I just died in your arms tonight. It must have been something I said. Just kidding, I didn't die in your arms tonight. I am in fact alive, here, live! That is right! It is I, Rob, from that channel, Performance Check, and I'm here to talk about five personal quests you can surprise your players with. Very excited about this one. It's going to be fun. I actually just wrote down some ideas I had off the top of my head and decided to go live about it. But, you know, it's all good. That's what we're here for. Before, however, I get to the topic of this live stream, I am going to do a bit of a channel update, bit of a housekeeping sesh. So let me see. First of all, performance check. There's a few pretty cool things coming. There's some cool, exciting things happening. One of which I'm not actually supposed to talk about, so I won't. But I can talk about some other stuff. So first of all, my pet project, Lore Drop. I have nearly finished my first sort of story arc, as it were, on Lore Drop. I've really enjoyed recording it. It is definitely more for me than for my audience, I have to say, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying recording stories that I have known for a long time, just in my mind. I've enjoyed recording them, so they'll be there forever now. I always say it's important for you to keep some kind of record of the campaigns that you run, because you put so much work into it, and you think, you know, intensively about the story and about the characters, and then when it's done, it's just in someone's memory. Now there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with something just being a memory. But if you want to get it, like, detailed, then that's one way to do it. Make a video series about it. So that's Lore Drop. Excited about that. The big news for Performance Check is that tomorrow, 7 PM EDT and midnight BST, my time, the Lawkeepers return in Chapter 4, The Telling. I am really excited about this one. This is going to be full of surprises, and finally, I get to play my cards. I get to show my hand. There is basically going to be a lot revealed about the entire campaign, the direction of which it's going to be going, and a lot of unanswered questions are going to hopefully be resolved. We shall see. So please drop by. It will be cool. We're going to have a good old laugh, have a bit of a knees up, and play some fucking D&D, man. It's going to be cool. Yeah, big reveals and big surprises, I can promise. So, I'm excited about that. Okay, that's about it for the channel update, actually. Because the other thing I wrote, for some reason, I know I'm not supposed to talk about it, but I wrote it down. It's not my choice. It's someone else telling me that I'm not allowed to talk about it. But I wrote it down on the list anyway, and it's just there. So I'm going to ignore that. And I'm now going to see about starting the actual topic in hand. So, personal quests. Why do we do personal quests in D&D or in role-playing games? What are personal quests, for those that don't know? Well, it's kind of simple, really. A personal quest is essentially an exploration of a character's motivation or something that is driving them. It is the exploration of that, essentially. It is allowing a single, it doesn't have to be single, actually, it can be multiple player characters, go and do something that is, rather than them being told to go and do something like a fetch quest or go and save the world from this evil force that is about to take over. No, it's about them doing something for their own benefit or something that will develop their characters in some way. All characters basically, at a basic level, all have some kind of motivation, you know, something they want. They might want to become the ultimate hero. You know, they might want to be trying to escape a broken past. They might want to prove themselves in some way. They might want to win the approval of a parent, or perhaps find love. It can be absolutely anything. But how, as a GM or as a DM, can you give this to a player as a gift? You know? It's very simple. You surprise them with it. The great thing about playing role-playing games is that as your character, if you're playing in a game, you can often be reactionary to a circumstance that, you know, arrives in front of you. You know, that's the beauty of the game, because players don't generally know what's going to happen in a session until they play. So, surprising players with a personal quest, something that is, like, laser beam pointed at them, can make them feel very, very special, for one, which is... That sounds weird. I feel so special. But you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to, like, think that, oh, it's like something in this game is now personally directed at me. Like, there's something really cool about that. And it means that the player, like I said, gets to react to different circumstances that they wouldn't have planned for. It's fine to have a character backstory where, you know, they say, okay, I'm gonna go and avenge the death of my sister. Okay, they know that something along the line is going to happen to do with that, but something entirely different, something unconnected, surprising them, is a great way of getting that feeling across, and you know, indulging your players in some surprise storytelling. So I'm just going to see who's joined me so far before I begin my list of 5 personal quests that you can surprise your players with. First here, bitches, Marquise says, Marquise, I haven't watched all of it yet, but Marquise ran an amazing game, and I'm going to embarrass myself now because I can't remember the name of the game. Symbaroum? I can't say it. I was reading it earlier and I was like, I can't say that word for some reason. I don't know why. But that game, I've only watched like a tiny bit of it, but man, impressive stuff. It seems to be a really cool system, and yeah, just a great setting. Obviously great players as well, playing, and spot on GMing. A masterclass from the beat poet himself, Marquis Artis. Stereotypical Strider. Go and subscribe to his channel. Chris Wilhelm has joined, and Jacob Norman has joined. It's an all-star here. Locrius as well. My goodness me, all-star audience today. Locrius says, damn chat thingy ain't working for me, but I'm wicked stoked for the next Lawkeepers session, man. Yeah, dude. Oh, man. I'm just excited to see you again, Locrius. For those who haven't seen, Locrius has recently uploaded a new monster video, one of his monster series, on his channel, Locrius Planetoid. Just go and do yourself a favour and check those out. If I've been meaning to ask, Locrius, if you are still watching, I know you said the thing isn't working for you. Do you animate those yourself? Because, my God, like, your talents are endless. Endless! Do yourself a favour, go watch them, because they are funny, and informative, and just great. Just great entertainment if you like your D&D monsters. Marquise says, Sinner's Masquerade, baby. Yeah, for those wondering about that game that I mentioned for Marquise, that was Sinner's Masquerade. You can find it on his channel, Stereotypical Strider. I plan on watching the rest of it later whilst I do some last-minute Lawkeepers stuff. So yeah, definitely do yourself a favour and check it out. Even if you're just interested in that system as well, because it is an interesting one. And it seemed really slick as well, like... and correct me if I'm wrong, Marquise, but that was the first time you ran that game as well. So fair play to you, man. Locrius, Marquise killed it in Symbaroum. I can't fucking say the name of the game. Someone will have to teach me how to say it. Locris is also in that game, so, more Locris. So, yeah, obviously you're gonna do that. Matthew is here, gonna watch it later. Lol, yeah, man. Says Locris. I do the animations too, brother, and thank you. See, this guy is a musician. He is a phenomenal performer in terms of role playing, and obviously a very talented and sexy ass musician. I was going to say magician then. I don't think he's a magician. Musician. Struggling with my words today. So yeah, Jacob Norman has kindly made it, spelt it phonetically for me. Sim-ba Oam. Sinners repent before Prios. Cool. And Marky says, yep, first time running it, man, that was something. It's just great, man. You've probably noticed you've got really good feedback for that game, because it was just watching a little bit of it was great. Simba Okay, fine. Was that right? Anyway, we're not going to spend the entire live stream teaching me how to bloody read. Okay? And by all means, whack into the chat if you have any thoughts on what you think makes a good, surprising personal quest. So number 1. I've written them down on my laptop, so I'm just reading them. Okay, so number 1 is a really simple one, and it is the oldest trick in the book for GMs. And you're all probably going to roll your eyes, because you probably already know this. But for those who don't, it's a helpful one, and you'll agree with me. If you want your players to go in a certain direction, it doesn't necessarily have to be a heavily driven story personal quest. But if you want them to go in a certain direction or whatever, take something from them. Oldest trick in the book. You can do a lot to attempt to make your players, root for a cause or to hate an individual in your game. There is no faster way than stealing something from them. I made a character in a very old game that I ran. I made a character walk from one side of the realm that this current campaign was set in to the other to retrieve. It wasn't even that good an item, that's the thing, but it was the gesture, it was the symbolism of something being taken from him, and it made him go on this massive adventure across mountains and forests and tundra just to retrieve a stolen item. Now that's a cheat, okay? I promise that the rest that I have are actually quite good story ones, or at least I think they're quite good story ones anyway. But honestly, just take something from one of them. They will just lose it. They will go absolutely ballistic. Now, they may be angry at you as well out of the game because, it is such an obvious move, but at the end of the day, they will thank you for the satisfaction it gives when they are then reunited with that item and bring the thief to justice. So that is definitely one to take on board. And I'm getting the cheat one out of the way because I consider that to be a bit of a cheat because it's not really a quest. It is a quest, but it's kind of like a generic thing, that you surprise someone with. Jeremy Lillia's joined us. Says, howdy, everyone. Hey, man. How's it going? Marquis, sup, Jeremy? Bill Mangan, my goal is to create a game that features the disease of... For those of you watching and haven't got your comments enabled, Bill has decided to write an impossibly long name of a disease. Okay, pneumono ultra microscopic volcanoconosis. I think that wasn't bad for a first shot. One that you've clearly made up. If you haven't made that up, I would be super, worried about the individual that invented such a word. Because, come on. I got it, he says. Hooray! Is that real? Is that real, Bill? That would impress me if that's actually a real... It's real, he says. My God. What is the point? Okay, abbreviate it. Call it, I'm not going to try and do that. Okay, we're just going to move on to the next one. And don't forget, if you think of one, whack it in the chat and we will address it. We shall discuss it. It shall be fun. So, okay. I want you to imagine this scene, okay? Your players, you're running them through a dungeon, okay? They have received word that an ancient cult has suddenly resurfaced out of nowhere and have begun operating within this mountain shrine that is built high up, like I say, in the mountains. They find themselves fighting through all sorts of different forces, trying to protect the central sanctum, okay? They burst into the main hall and they find themselves surrounded by cultists, drawing horrendous looking knives, glaring at them, and chanting. And then the leader of the cultists spots one of the players, the player you want to give the personal quest to. He gives out a cry, or a mixture between anguish and ecstasy, and then falls to his knees. The rest of the cultists do the same, all on their knees, worshipping that player. Now, that makes you think of a lot of things, really. Why would a sinister, ancient, evil cult suddenly, without warning, bend the knee to a player who may not have ever had contact with them? What does that mean? Do they know something that the player doesn't? Probably. Is the player actually from a long line of, demonic purebloods, like, what is it? Now, I'm not here to give you the answers, but I'm here to give you the seed, to give you the spark. And I really like that one because it will make the player feel cool. It will make them think, obviously people are like worshipping them and whatever, but they'll be like, Jesus, like if all of these nightmarish individuals suddenly just break and are like, want to serve them, like, what does it mean? What does it mean? That's one that I thought of today, and I'm quite happy with it. And I bequeath it onto you, my fair community. Just gonna have a sip of tea. Sip of bloody tea. I went, It's a really smug noise of just drinking tea. I did it again. Okay. So Bill has stated it's real and has stated the name of the disease again. Not going to bother. I've done it once. I don't need to ever do it in my life ever again. It is pneumoconiosis caused by inhalation of a very fine silicate or quartz dust. There you go then, guys. If we've learned anything from this stream today, don't go snorting fine silicon and don't go snorting quartz dust. At least not on a weekday, Marquise! This is why the Azamai, Yuntai, and the Tiefling are three of my favourite races. Each one is a human with a supernatural background that ties deeply into the world. A question for you, Marquise. Considering it's now on the table. And I have been playing D&D for a long time, and in previous editions, things like Azimar, Yuntai, and Tiefling were much rarer. They were considered much rarer because they basically weren't like a starter kind of race. Do you think that makes lessens the impact of running into a Tiefling or a Dragonborn or an Azamar, because they're now basically there from the get-go and anyone can be them? Do you know what I mean? This is kind of like the thing that I've tried to do with the Lawkeepers, with Taxus the Dragonborn. Dragonborn, yeah, sure, they're part of 5th edition, and sure, they're going to be part of my world, but I kind of like the idea of them being not special. I didn't want to make Chad a snowflake, but at the same time, like, I wanted there to be something a little different about them, So that's my question to you, Marquise, just because it's off the top of my head. Yeah, let me know. But anyway, so that was number 2. So the cultists suddenly bending the knee to a player character. This is another common one, but there's one that I have a quite a good example for. Prophetic Dreams. Dreams are awesome in D&D. You can do an awful lot with dreams, a lot of narrative techniques to sort of tell the player or show the player a kind of emotional maelstrom, as it were. You can have it, like I say, be prophetic and show fleeting images of the future, of the past, and allow them to be flashbacks. Dreams are great. In fact, you could probably do an entire stream on dreams. But the reason I use this, because I thought, this would be quite an easy one, to fall back on, dreams. So I instead am going to cite a mechanical use for this kind of being a thing. And that is in Adventures in Middle-earth. There is a I can't remember what it is. It's like a trait that your character has, and I think it's called Doom to Die. In the Lord of the Rings game that I'm in, that is run by Lloyd, YardTM, go check out his stuff. We have sort of, it's kind of up in the air now where the game is at the moment, but we had a dwarven character named Nar, who had this mechanical thing called Doom to Die, in which he knows at some point he is going to meet a terrible end. Absolutely terrible. And because he knows that, it makes him behave in a certain way. It makes him sort of like kind of a bit gung-ho about like the situation she throws himself into. So fine, it might be an easy like sort of thing to say, oh yeah, just give one of your players like a dream of the future or something that could happen. But it's really cool to give them something where it will actually augment their behavior. It would actually force them to look on the situation they're in a very different way. And I don't want to spoil it, so it probably isn't the best example to have used. But Nar, in that Lord of the Rings game, he's a dwarf from the Blue Mountains, I believe, does act in a very kind of like abrupt kind of way, shall we say, because he knows, or at least he thinks he knows, how he's going to die. It's pretty bloody cool. Pretty bloody cool. So, although not much of a quest, it does sort of well, I suppose it could be a quest. I suppose it could be a quest to change that, to make sure that isn't a fate that you run into, maybe. But yeah, definitely. Okay, so Marquise says, in answer to my question, if you've just joined us, I asked Marquise, does now having Tieflings, Dragon Balls, Yantai as starter races ruin the magic of them? I'm not saying it does, I'm not saying it doesn't, but I was curious to see Marquise's thoughts on this. And he says, I do not. Running into wondrous things during journeys make things magical and memorable. You don't have to run into many of them, but running into another Tiefling with a Tiefling in your party is interesting and memorable. Having a young Thai pureblood rival of the party is super cool. And, it's done the thing again! It's done the thing again where it cuts off the comment. I'm so sorry, Marquise. Basically, I hit see more, and then it shows more of it, and then it still runs out of space for some reason. So, having a young Thai pureblood rival of the party is super cool. Yeah, dude, I think we're basically in agreement with that. As long as you don't, like, do it too much, like, so it's still, it's absolutely memorable, but you obviously hold back as well, so you make those moments special because they don't happen all the time. I see that Marquise has actually copied the rest into there, so that's great. Having a young Thai pureblood rival of the party is super cool. Helping an Azamar Crusader on his angelic mission makes your campaign seem supernatural, epic and cool. Having them in the party makes the party story have direction. If it's a pureblood, what are they hiding? What is their goal? If a tiefling, what problems and curses will their demonic blood? And it cuts off again, but I'm thinking you're going to say, what problems will their demonic blood cause? Completely agree, man. And sound advice to those watching. Really cool stuff. Lloyd, my bro, has just arrived. Dude, I was just plugging the Lord of the Rings game, man. It's talking about the Doom to Die trait, or whatever it's called. And Lloyd says, Rob, you've fallen to the dark side of clickbait. I absolutely have, man. I've done a bit of a Tim Carney. I think there was a total clickbait question, but you know what? I think it's going so well so far. I've got some bloody gems to bestow upon thee this day. That was weird. Marky says, tracked if an Azamar, what's the holy oh, we're going back to this. If an Azamar, what's the holy mission that's being tied into this? If it ties in a level of depth to the party, in my opinion, and therefore the campaign. Yeah, absolutely, dude. And there we go. Yeah, that's a personal quest as well. To bring it back to the topic, it could be like a holy mission. It could be their belief. It could be their supernatural experiences that draw them into this new story that the party will then follow them into. Marky says, woo, that was a doozy. Absolutely it was. So, I'm just rambling on and on and on. So, the next one is... I quite like this one, because it's really weird and it could have multiple outcomes. I want you to imagine this scene, okay? You're a player character, and let's just say you're in a tavern, because why not? An attractive stranger approaches you. An attractive stranger that of your particular taste, shall we say. And they recognize you. And they run over and they're like, it's you! Oh my god! I'm so happy to see you! My god, where have you been? And they're almost like angry or they're relieved. And clearly are showing that they care an awful lot about you, but you have no memory of them whatsoever. And the very thought of you not having any memory of them seems to, like, visibly upset them. They're like, you don't... How could you? So they're obviously visibly hurt by this, your lack of recognition. And they say, you don't believe me, you don't believe me. And they just rip off a locket around their neck and go, here. And they show you this locket, and inside is a picture depicting your character and this person that's approached you, either like entwined in like a lover's embrace, or maybe take it the other way completely and you're like side by side in a stern, very aristocratic portrait. Like, you obviously choose what the portrait depicts to show what you're actually choosing that character to actually have been. But I find that to be really cool. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're dropping this kind of surprise personal quests the character's way, you know, the most appealing thing about it is the mystery, I find. So what could that attractive stranger be? Who could they be? Perhaps they're a con artist. Perhaps they've carefully engineered this to try and trick your player character. Or perhaps your player character doesn't remember. Perhaps there was a traumatic incident that left them bereft of certain memories, which then obviously leads down a whole rabbit hole into a whole different storyline. Like, it is just the start of a brand new adventure that is basically revolves around that particular character. And also will interest the other players of the party as well. It is obviously very important to make sure, and this is a given, I feel, that all personal quests given to a player character is also interesting for the other players as well. Because otherwise, it's not great. I mean, it's fine to shine the spotlight on a particular, player per session or whatever, but just be careful, okay? Don't don't make them like the Anne friends in the, I don't know, Theodrex Anne friends. They're not the Anne friends. Okay. Dan Barnes, hey man! Speaking of, my Lord of the Rings crew is showing up. Rob starts talking. You won't believe what happens next. Yeah, man. That's totally what I'm all about. I do love the I do love the clickbait. You won't believe what number 7 is. I don't have 7, so the joke's on you. I have 5. And speaking of, I am gonna go to number 5. And this is arguably my favourite one, and it's one that I've actually used. For those of you who watch my show series Lore Drop, I have introduced a character called Theodrex of Hemlon. And I have actually spoken about Theodrex on a live stream as well. He was one of my friend's characters. And a ranger, an alcoholic, a funny guy, generally like quite talented with a bow and arrow, but generally quite incompetent, but a good character and generally a heroic character. Theodrex of Hemlon gets wind once again. Like I can't remember where he was. He was like in a really, really kind of like a shady town. My girlfriend has returned from work whilst I'm live. Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, darling.
Did you have a good day?
Yeah, it's been good.
Do you mind if I just finish up?
Carry on.
Thank you. Yeah, so where was I? Everyone say hi to my girlfriend. Hi, hello. So, Theodrex of Hemlon, he finds out that, basically some guards approach him and go, Theodrex of Hemlon? And he goes, yes. And they're like, by the order of the king, we are here to arrest you. And he's like, what? And he says, you know, you don't have to say anything about anything that you do say. No, they don't say that. But they basically they bring him in, and he's like, I've not done anything. I honestly, this time, I definitely haven't done anything. And they're like, you have? And they're like, no, I haven't. It's you've been terrorizing this realm, this particular city. Has been reporting that Theodrex of Hemlon has been murdering and robbing people, destroying family homes, like leading basically an army of brigands and bandits behind him as well. And he's like, this isn't me. Why, if that was me, why would I so blatantly be walking out in the middle of the day? This is essentially Theodrex being framed. And framing someone for a crime they didn't do in D&D is a wonderful thing to do to your players, because they will be incredibly indignant. They will be like, what? And again, once again, it is that spark. It is igniting a mystery that needs to be solved. Now, that was actually the beginning of a huge story arc that I ran, where it was more than just someone pretending to be Theodrex. It was an aspect of his very nature that was responsible. I will talk about that in a future lore drop at some point. But yeah, so to be honest, I think that's about it. That is 5 personal quests you can surprise your players with in D&D or in any role-playing game. So, just to recap what's happening with my channel then. So, the next episode of Lore Drop will be up at some point next week, I should imagine. And also, the big news, Lorekeepers, Chapter 4, The Telling, will be at 7 PM EDT live. Midnight if you're watching the UK. I don't know the other times. I should have written them all down. We're dealing with a lot of different time zones. I just go with EDT. But I hope you join me there, and if not, check it out after the fact. Some big surprises. I can definitely promise you some big surprises, and I am going to be putting all my cards on the table. And the future of the campaign itself will be decided. So anyway, for those of you watching on YouTube, if you like this video, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe or not. We're all friends here, or are we? We are. I hope so by now. I mean, come on. And yeah, let me know what personal quests you like to use in your games. How do you like to surprise your players by shining the spotlight on them when they least suspect it? I would love to hear your thoughts. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that all of your performances are up to standard. Finish!